Good afternoon. On behalf of the Sistema Italia, here represented by the Embassy of Italy to Canada, Consulate General of Italy in Toronto, the Italian Trade Agency, the Istituto Italiano di Cultura in Toronto, ENIT, the Italian National Tourist Board, and the Italian Chamber of Commerce of Ontario, Canada, I'm honored to welcome you to the 4th edition of Ithaca. The theme of this edition of Ithaca, Italy, Land of Investments, will provide the 4 extraordinary guest speakers with the chance to talk about the vital role of Italy for all Canadian partners who wish to invest in a country with unparalleled history, art, culture, and innovation potential. Their presentations will be a remarkable tool for building even stronger bridges between these two countries, already deeply connected through decades of successful economic and diplomatic relations. Ithaca showcases the talent of 4 speakers with different backgrounds, such as architecture, the food and wine industry, aerospace, engineering, and medicine. And here are our today's speakers, outstanding speakers. Cesare Lobascio, Space Exploration and Science Innovation Lead Senior Expert, Life Support and Habitability, Thales Alenia Space. Dr. Sabina Berretta, Associate Professor, Harvard Medical School and Director of the Harvard Brain Tissue Resource Center. Albiera Antinori, President of Marchesi Antinori. Stefano Boeri from Stefano Boeri Architects. And now I'm very pleased to show you a video message from the Consul General of Italy in Canada, Eugenio Sgro, who strongly supports Ithaca 2022.
Good afternoon. As Consul General of Italy in Toronto, it's with great pleasure that I welcome you to the 4th edition of Ithaca, a project aimed at confirming the ever-growing economic and development relationship between Italy and Canada. Today we will take a tour across Il Bel Paese, uncovering its culture, history, and know-how in all fields, from science to aerospace, from architecture to the food and beverage industry. As we all know, Italy is known worldwide for its historical cities, world-renowned cuisine, and geographic beauty. But it's so much more. Italy is one of the world's top economies in the world. Italy is among the largest economies in the world and in Europe. Italy is the 2nd largest manufacturer in Europe. Italy is home to many of the world's leading multinational and attracts top global companies with a trade surplus from exporting in sectors such as machinery and automation, fashion, design, luxury goods, food and beverage, tourism, and high-tech. I would like to mention the Canada-European Union Comprehensive Economic and Trade Agreement, which provides Canadian businesses with advantageous access to and excellent opportunities for growth in the European Union and therefore in Italy as well. Not to mention that the 2 countries already have a close trading and investment relationship. Thanks to its geographic location at the center of the Mediterranean Sea, Italy is well established. Infrastructures are strategic logistic hubs that connect Europe with the rest of the world. A mix between innovation and tradition. Italy is a country that offers an encouraging business environment through an international reputation for the quality and authenticity of its products, qualified workforce, and unparalleled entrepreneurial creativity. Speaking of visions, we are honored to have some of the most successful Italian minds with us today. By sharing their insights and experiences, they will guide us through the Italian originality in doing business, in creating new standards of excellence, and exporting dynamic and multifaceted excellence in all areas. Please allow me to thank Alberto Tinoni, Stefano Boeri, Cesare Lobascio, and Sabina Beretta for accepting our invitation today and for showcasing Italian excellence all over the world. Without further ado, I wish you a wonderful webinar. Thank you for your attendance.
General, for this heartwarming message. Before starting with the presentations of the panel, let's enjoy this video of the Ithaca 2022 digital booklet. Our first guest speaker is nuclear engineer Cesare Lobascio. Cesare has worked with Thales Alenia Space in Italy for 30 years in the broad fields of space environment and life support systems, covering a wide range of technical and management roles. He has been involved in the International Space Station project and in scientific satellites and human and robotic space exploration studies for the Moon and Mars. He is senior expert in life support and habitability. He teaches at the Space Exploration Master and has authored more than 70 papers, book chapters, and 2 patents. Before watching his presentation, let's enjoy this video.
Thanks for the nice introduction, Eleonora, and thanks to the organizers for having me in this great event. I really love it, the idea of Ithaca. I think it's great in its name. There's the travel, there's the vision. It's really great. Before jumping into the presentation, which I'd like you to see, and please, if you can share the presentation, I'd like to say a few words about Thales Alenia Space. You saw a bit of a spoiler there in the video. What do we do for space? Well, basically everything, maybe except launchers. We do connectivity, Earth observation for the environment. We do navigation satellites. But what we're going to talk about today is more about exploration, which is my favorite field. And I work at the site of Torino in Italy, specifically on space exploration. And Thales Alenia is a joint venture of Thales, which has the 67% of shares, and Leonardo, who you also may know, 33% of the shares in the JV. In the next slide, I'd like to share with you let's say the intro, the title. So this is going to be a journey of space exploration, and I was really very much inspired by the poem of Ithaca by Konstantin of Kavafis. So that is really a great poem, which is a source of inspiration even for space travel. And if you go to the next one, you'll see our broad journey map, or at least part of it. And what you see here is the Earth. There's a space station in the middle, and this is barely 350 kilometers from the surface of the Earth in space. This is already considered space, and in the future there will be other stations as the low Earth orbit becomes more and more known and more utilized also by private subjects. There are re-entry systems like the one you've shown in the video, the what we call the Space Rider, which was demonstrated by the IXV successful mission. Those are automatic systems which can be used to bring to orbit experiments which can benefit from the unique environment of microgravity. But we're not stopping close to the Earth orbits. We really hope and are sure that our road is a long one. So we're going to the moon. We are going back to the moon soon in the next decade. And we'll do it via different endeavors. It will be a station, smaller than the ISS, but quite relevant for the Italian contributions, which is called the Gateway. And it's a strict relationship with NASA and the agencies to develop systems in international cooperation, which will bring human and in particular women, a woman back to the surface of the moon in the next decade. Again, we're not stopping there. It's a long road. Going to Mars is tens of millions of kilometers, full of adventure, full of discovery for sure. And we are going there robotically, and then we are going there with humans in probably the next like 3 decades or so. And wherever we cannot go directly or with robots or with humans, we just observe from far with powerful instruments. We love to see that we want to study the dark matter, dark energy with powerful telescopes like Euclid, which can indeed observe the far distant universe close to the creation of the universe itself. But next slide, let's go back to the idea of Ithaca. In this incredible picture, you see the International Space Station, and there's Ithaca behind the International Space Station. You indeed see Italy, you don't see Canada, but you do see Ithaca, which is, you know, in the journey of Ulysses is like in Greece. So indeed you see it there. But what do I really mean with Ithaca, as you may know, and you see on the next slide, is that indeed Italy and Canada have an incredible role at the ISS. So if Canada has a leadership in the robotic assistance, and the famous Canadarm, the robotic arm of the ISS is made in Canada by Canadian industry. For what concerns the habitats, about the 40% of all the pressurized part of the habitable part of the International Space Station is actually made in Italy. It was designed, built, assembled, and now most of it is operated as well with the support of my company. And so it was made in Torino. And we are really proud of that. Although this is not always well known, we have had now more than 500,000 hours of flight without any major failure in our systems, and we are quite happy with that. And we are learning so much. We have built both permanent modules, which are always attached to the station, and we're still building logistics modules. Those are the ones used to supply the station with all the necessary instrumentation, vital resources needed by the astronauts for everyday life, and including experiments, of course, spares, and the like, whatever is needed for life up there. Next slide. Learn and go on learning. It's an incredible learning curve. We didn't know how to do that. We started with aeronautics, and we learned how to build pressurized modules which can hold pressure and host everything needed for life of astronauts. That was not easy. What I'm showing here is probably the most complex of our structures, the Node 2, which connects 6 other modules on the International Space Station, and that was by far our most complex system, which is also hosting the crew quarters, exercise equipment, everything needed for life of astronauts. And in the next slide, you see the ships. You saw before the Node, and this one is under construction, and it will be soon launched under the cooperation between the European Space Agency and NASA in the Artemis program. Artemis is the new program for moon exploration, both in orbit and on the surface. And so different ships compared to what Ulysses had, but still, next slide, done really for the crew. It's a different crew. In the case of space, you have international astronauts like Samantha Cristoforetti that you see here on the right, and is now indeed on the International Space Station. And you see her here in the cupola, which is probably our most well-known habitat done in space, for which astronauts keep being grateful to us for them helping to see outside the station, to support them in robotic operations, including the one of the Canadarm. And in the next slide, you also see the enemies. In the poem of Ithaca, Angry Poseidon, Cyclops, in space, well, not the same monsters, but let's say not less dangerous to the health of astronauts. So we have microgravity, which is detrimental to the health of the bones, for example, of astronauts after long presence in space. And there's ionizing radiation, which comes all the way from the distant galaxies, the so-called cosmic rays, and also from our sun, which is a great source of energy, but when it gets a bit angry, it can be really harmful because of the amount of ionizing particles that is throwing in space and also reaching the spaceships. So when we are under the protection of the magnetic field, like in the case of the ISS, not too bad, but this is really an incredible problem for exploration missions far from Earth and in deep space. And so another invention that we had is this jacket that Paolo Nespoli wore to protect himself from radiation, which is just full of water. And yes, in the next slide, you see again Paolo with a leaf of salad, because as Eleonora explained, my specialty is life support systems. So in space, as you may imagine, we don't have the possibility to stop along the way and buy some good stuff. We have to bring everything. So we are recycling water. We are bringing our own water, and we are even doing research and development of protected agriculture in space to produce the best possible food, nutritional food for astronauts in space. And this has great benefits for research back to ground, back to what we can learn for sustainability, for energy saving, for just using the necessary amount of resources. And if you find her poor, next slide, Ithaca won't have fooled you. This is the moon. As poor as it may seem, it's indeed bearing some interesting resources for space exploration. There's oxygen in the rocks, there's water in some areas of the moon. So we are going to be there in the next decade for learning how to do exploration of planets beyond the low Earth orbits, and definitely learning how to live outside the Earth and under reduced gravity using at the maximum possible extent every available resource. But in particular, we will really make an incredible experience, and we will understand many, many new things just by our programs. And again, Italy will have a key role. This is a project in collaboration with NASA, funded by the Italian Space Agency, which is already started in the design phase to bring habitats on the surface of the moon. And finally, and I'm concluding here, our next step will be Mars. First, robotically with missions like the ExoMars and the Mars Sample Return, an incredible mission that will return samples of Mars all the way back to Earth for study, and then finally with humans. So let me finish with a wish. May there be many summer mornings when, with what pleasure, what joy, you enter harbors you're seeing for the first time. Thanks for having joined me in this journey to space, and thanks for your attention. Ciao.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Cesare, for this extraordinary and inspiring talk about space journeys, but also our human journey, and also, for shining a light on this virtually unexplored area of Italian excellence. So that's our theme, Italy, Land of Investments, and this is really thought-provoking and inspiring. So thank you so much for your presentation. Thank you for being with us today.
Thank you, Nora.
Thank you. Bye. Our next speaker is Dr. Sabina Berretta, Associate Professor of Psychiatry, Harvard Medical School, Director of the Translational Neuroscience Laboratory at McLean Hospital, Harvard Medical School, and Director of the Harvard Brain Tissue Resource Center. Dr. Sabina Berretta began her research training at the University of Catania in Italy. In 1990, she joined the Department of Brain and Cognitive Sciences at MIT. 1997, she moved to McLean Hospital and Harvard Medical School. 1999, Dr. Berretta became the director of the Translational Neuroscience Laboratory at McLean Hospital, where she conducted investigations on psychiatric disorders. In 2019, Dr. Berretta became the director of the Harvard Brain Tissue Resource Center. Her work with the HBTRC aims at making research on nervous system disorders possible. Dr. Berretta, welcome, and the floor is yours.
Thank you for your really kind introduction and for inviting me to this really inspiring symposium. I am delighted to be here with you today, although virtually. Our work is focused on the pathophysiology of brain disorder, the severe or at times subtle changes in the brain, underlying symptoms of devastating and sometimes deadly disorders. This is a tall order, and as we know, scientific progress by nature needs to focus on tiny details, so that if you can advance, please, in order to really understand a disorder, we need to focus, sorry, please go back. One needs to choose a disorder or even a set of symptoms, then figure out which brain regions, which cells, which molecules, much in the same way as diagnosing the health of a beautiful painting. You need to zoom in until you see the fine cracks that might predict its health. So we are lucky enough to be able to afford what one could think of as both a global and a local approach. I will tell you a little bit about what I mean by the local approach as work done in our research lab, but first I would like to tell you a little bit about what one could consider as the more global one. Please advance, thank you. The Harvard Brain Tissue Resource Center is one of the National Institute of Health brain repositories. It The mission of the Neurobiobank, and therefore of our site, is to make research possible for investigators across the world. To do this, we collect over 200 brain specimens across the United States. Our site only, the other 5 sites do similar work. We distribute samples for over 300 research projects every year. And we are able to collect brain samples from a very broad variety of brain disorders, including neurological, psychiatric disorders, dementias, and rare genetic developmental disorders, as well as brain cancer. The goal of this is to really facilitate and make possible the understanding of what brain changes, what pathophysiology underlines a broad variety of brain disorders. And therefore, the impact is broader than any research lab as a single unit, because our work gets spread across the world and makes several thousands of research projects overall possible in the past and present. Our research laboratory is one of the many laboratories across the world that benefits from the work of the Neurobiobank. And I would like to give you 2 examples of work that we have done over the years, one more well established and one very recent, that focuses in our case on psychiatric disorders and trying to understand what are the brain changes that cause symptoms of specific psychiatric disorders, such as schizophrenia and bipolar disorder. The first example I would like to share takes its foundation in the work of Camillo Golgi, professor of histology and general pathology of the University of Pavia, who in 1906 won the Nobel Prize together with Ramon y Cajal for their work in discovering and shedding light on the fine architecture of the brain. This work was in great part made possible by Camillo Golgi's discovery of a method for silver impregnation that allows to detect the fine architecture of the brain. If you could advance one more, please. Such as these neurons, which are in our cerebellum, in the back part of our brain. And you can see in how exquisite detail they can be detected by the method discovered and named after Golgi as Golgi impregnation. Golgi made another important, yes, please advance, thank you. Another important discovery, which he reported in 1898, these fine, delicate covering that are not part of the brain cells, but cover them as a net-like glove. This finding had its ups and downs in history, got forgotten many times, but was rediscovered in recent years by many investigators, including several investigators in Italy. The next slide, please. They showed how these coverings, these gloves around the neurons, called now perineuronal nets, play a critical role in both adult and developmental plasticity. The perineuronal nets are made out of a molecular mesh, overall called extracellular matrix. In our laboratory, the next one, please, we were able to discover several other structures in addition to redemonstrate the presence of perineuronal nets in the brain. So in these images, you see on the left perineuronal nets in green enveloping specific types of neurons within the human brain, and then novel structures made of extracellular matrix molecules, which we named as 6 clusters and axonal codes. Our group was the first, next slide please, to show that the extracellular matrix is altered in the brain of people with major psychosis. We show the perineuronal nets are decreased in several brain regions. Thank you. That the glial cells, the support cells that synthesize the majority of extracellular matrix components are altered, in some cases decreases, in some cases increases in the brain of people with schizophrenia. You see on the right side of the panel some examples. This is a part of the brain called amygdala and entorhinal cortex. In this case, with a very strong, robust increase of glial cells expressing extracellular matrix components. And finally, we demonstrated that a novel structure, which we call as 6 clusters, are decreased in persons with schizophrenia. And current lab has still to be published, has shown that these clusters play a key role in coordinating plasticity within the human brain. Another example I would like to discuss today is in collaboration with Stephen McCarroll and a very talented postdoc in his lab, both at the Harvard Medical School Department of Genetics. Dr. McCarroll and his group invented a method that has truly revolutionized neuroscience, a high-throughput single-nucleus RNA-seq, which basically allows to assess the full molecular expression in different cell types within the brain. In true scientific form, Dr. McCarroll not only invented the system together with his group, but also made a point of training other research groups across the world in setting it up, using it, and interpreting their results. This method has now been expanded and built upon, and again, truly revolutionizing the neuroscience approaches and the data that we can get from human postmortem brain. And I'd like to share one more piece of data with this approach. In the next slide, please. This method allows us to try to understand what the molecular changes are in different cell population in any disorder, for instance, schizophrenia, and understand how they correlate with genetic effects. Psychiatric disorders, as well as many other brain disorders, have a very strong genetic component, and one of the challenges is to really try to understand how genetic vulnerability matches brain changes at the molecular level. In a study that we are preparing now for publication, we included almost 200 donors from a part of the brain called prefrontal cortex, or dorsolateral prefrontal cortex, shows in red in the figure. And we have shown that interactions between synapses, the way our brain cells make connection, and glial cells, particularly astrocyte, play a key role in the pathology of schizophrenia. The next slide, please. So in red there, and in purple, you have a connection between 2 brain cells making a synapse, and in green you have an astrocyte. This triad plays, together with the extracellular matrix, a key role in the pathophysiology of brain disorders, and in this case in schizophrenia. What our data shows is that not only molecular synaptic components, so the connection again between neurons, are altered, but they are altered in conjunction with a disruption of cholesterol biosynthesis within astrocytes. And cholesterol is a key component of the connections between neurons, the synapses, showing that it is not only synaptic components that are altered, but they also need a disruption of cholesterol biosynthesis underlying pathophysiology in schizophrenia. With this, I'd like to conclude. and thank you for your kind attention.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Beretta. I was just thinking, we went from a journey into space, thousands of kilometers away, to a journey inside our own brain. But they're both equally interesting and fascinating. I guess maybe our brain is the most unexplored territory of all. So thank you so much for this presentation into the human brain and its mysteries. And thank you also for the work that you're doing on brain disorders. Thank you very much for being with us today.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. So before we move on to our next speaker, let's watch a video by the Italian Trade Agency about Italy as a land of investments, which is the theme of Ithaca 2022.
Ithaca's main theme this year is Italy, land of investment. This strongly resonates with us at the Italian Trade Agency, as we are in charge of attracting new investors and facilitating the expansion of existing ones in a variety of ways. The video I'm introducing today is related to machinery, automation, and components, the main sector as far as Canada-Italy trade is concerned. A variety of initiatives and incentives has been put in place to stimulate innovation and growth in this crucial industry where opportunities abound. If you are considering investing in Europe, let's talk. We can help.
What a wonderful video indeed, showing what a marvelous country Italy is, a country where excellence, history, culture, and lifestyle meet. So thanks again to the institutions of Sistema Italia for making this event possible today. Our next speaker is Albiera Antinori, president of Marchesi Antinori. Ms. Antinori earned a master's degree in business communications and started working in the family company Marchesi Antinori in 1986, exploring different areas of the family business, from production to sales and marketing. In 2001, Ms. Antinori became director of communications at Marchesi Antinori. In 2016, she was appointed president of Marchesi Antinori. Other than the family business responsibilities, she currently holds positions in other companies and organizations. She is a member of the board of directors of the Provincial Union of the Farmers of Florence. She's board member of Federvini, the Italian Federation of Industrial Producers, Exporters and Importers of Wines, Spirits, Syrups, and Vinegar. And she's the president of the DOC Bolgheri Consortium. So, Ms. Antinori, welcome to Ithaca 2022. The floor is yours.
So, hello everybody and good morning, and thanks to Ithaca to having organized this, and it's an honor for me to represent our family, our winery, and perhaps I would say the Tuscan and Italian world of quality wines. Our family has quite a long history, which I will not be able to explain through these few minutes that we're going to be together. You will see a few images of what we are talking about through the video, which will help to explain our world. So let's say that the story of the winery and the story of the family are closely linked. Our history goes back to 1100, where our family was just outside of Florence, and it was trading silk and wool. And then in 1200, our family moved into Florence because there was a complicated situation of wars around, and Florence was a safer place and a very good place to make to keep on the trade, which was typical of that time, which was silk and wool and banking. Having gone through these trades, the family became more prominent and started buying estates that were just outside of Florence. And obviously, when we talk about the Chianti Classico hills, we talk about vineyards and olive groves. So since 1385, there's always been a member of my family looking after the wine production and the wine trade. In fact, I today represent number 26 generation, which is a generation, we are three sisters. So at this point, for the first time across all these centuries, the winery is led by a woman, and it's right in the time, let's say, as finally women do more and more have access to these agricultural positions, which until a few years ago it was a little bit more difficult. So talking about what Antinori is now, Antinori is 100% family-owned winery that owns vineyards mainly in Tuscany, in the most important appellations, ranging from Chianti Classico to Brunello, to Brunello di Montalcino, to Bolgheri. And we have also obviously other vineyards that in the years we have bought more to explore how wines were made in other areas, both of Italy and also of other parts of the world. But our heart is really in the Chianti Classico and in Tuscany. So 100 years ago, and you will see some pictures reminding all the times. Here you see all the harvests, how they were done. Today everything is a little bit more organized and perhaps less bucolic. But the real development of a small family business at the end of the 18th century happened in the last 60 years, in which my grandfather and my father really gave a push to the production, both by developing in terms of quality the estates, the traditional estates that we had, both by exploring different kind of areas in Italy and also outside. We went through three major phases. The first one that was at the beginning of the 1970s, in which big work was done in the cellar in terms of microbiological, in terms of working the wine in the cellars. Then we went through a period in which, obviously, to make great wines, you need to have control direct of the vineyards, as you see. So a lot of work was done in the vineyards in terms of planting, of pruning, experimenting not only the traditional areas, but also others. And this will reveal today also very important because of climate change. I think lots of things are changing in terms of agriculture. We are trying to find, let's say, mitigation in the vineyards of what this new weather that we are facing that is changing, and so we can adapt, having had such a good experience in those years. In the years between around 2000, obviously we had the work in the cellar, we had the vineyards, we needed to have the new cellars, the new facilities where we could properly ferment the grapes, age the grapes, and last but not least, also slowly allow consumers or customers that more and more have been interested in how the wine is made and what is the story behind, the people behind, and what is really the philosophy of, in our case, a family that has gone through 26 generations, arriving until now, but that looks at the future with positiveness, with a lot of attention to the land that we have been taking care and that we need to transfer to the next generation. We actually already have a generation number 27 that is coming on board, that is actually already on board, which for us obviously is apart from the quality of the wine that always has to be at the top. One of the most important things for us is to transmit to the generations after the values, the importance of knowing the wine, the importance of working with the people that have worked for us, in some cases for generations. So this to say that Italy has done incredible steps in terms of quality, in terms of developing areas, in terms of interpreting terroir. So great wines do come, first of all, if they are in a great area, in a great position, in a great terroir, but also with the work of man who can understand, interpret, and last but not least, also travel and explain whatever there is behind a bottle of wine, because there is a lot of human thinking, and this is something that is typical of any winemaker or vineyard owner. But these stories, especially in Italy, there are a lot to be told and to be discovered. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Albiera, for this presentation. You said there's a lot behind a bottle of wine, and in your case, in the case of your family, there are generations, there's history, there's passion, but there's also entrepreneurship and innovation and openness to the future. So it's a very interesting history. I was watching the video and it transported me into those beautiful vineyards, and you are in Maremma right now. I'm just a little bit jealous, but thank you so much, because wine is not just a product for Italy. It's just, it's the spirit of Italy. It's everything that we are. So thank you so much for this amazing presentation, and thank you for being with us today.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Our next speaker is architect and urban planner Stefano Boeri, founding partner of Stefano Boeri Architetti. A full professor of urban planning at Milano Politecnico, Stefano Boeri has been a guest professor at several universities, including Harvard University's Graduate School of Design, the Strelka Institute in Moscow, and the Berlage Institute in the Netherlands. He has been president of La Triennale di Milano Foundation since 2018. The work of the Stefano Boeri Architetti studio ranges from the production of urban visions in architecture to interior and product design. Attention to the relationship between city and nature gave rise to the Milan Vertical Forest, the first prototype of a residential building featuring over 700 trees and 20,000 plants. Built in 2014, the Vertical Forest has received numerous international awards, such as the International High Rise Award in 2014 and the Best Tall Building Worldwide, presented by the Council on Tall Buildings and Urban Habitats in 2015. Now, let's watch a presentation and a video message by Stefano Boeri.
First of First of all, my greetings to Eugenio Sgro, Consular General of Italy in Toronto, to Veronica Manson, Director of Italiana Cultura, and to Italian Chamber of Commerce, Canada. I would like today briefly to, let's say, talk about three peculiar characteristics of contemporary Italy that I believe be of great interest and for international investments. The first reason is simply linked to the geographical position of our country and its place in the international geopolitics. Italy is certainly today a fundamental reference point for all commercial, financial, and cultural policies that are measured in the relationship between Europe and the Mediterranean. And I believe that also the recent initiative of the Italian Minister of Culture, Dario Franceschini, to create a network between all the Ministry of Culture of the Mediterranean countries and to choose each year a capital of culture between Southern Europe and the Mediterranean is the last confirm of the role of Italy in the geopolitical contemporary condition. Precisely the location between Europe and the Mediterranean makes today's Italian peninsula a place of great importance in geopolitics. And this is not only for, let's say, the unknown and very famous artistic and architectural monument that Italy hosts. I would add that Italy's great challenge in the coming years will be linked to its widespread culture. Italy is today a country of small, large, and middle-sized cities, and all of these cities also host an extraordinary cultural vivacity. Hundreds of associations, network club groups that produce bottom-up culture in the field of entertainment, music, theater, graphics, photography, cinema, architecture, and new digital technologies. But of course, a second feature that makes the Italian peninsula so important and peculiar is its extraordinary heritage of architectural and artistic works, many of which are present in Italian cities, but many of which, most of them unknown, are housed in the church and civic buildings and in the square of those hundreds and hundreds of small historical villages that are widespread along the Apennine Ridge or the Prealpine Belt, and which today are largely semi-abandoned or abandoned. A first safe and important investment in our country is precisely to relaunch, redevelop, and enhance this extraordinary network of historic villages that are often easily accessible from cities, host extraordinary architectural and artistic treasure, and offer a unique quality of life, a life in direct contact with nature, and a life that offers opportunity for research, studying intellectual works, but also new form of investment in agricultural work, linked in particular to the transformation of agricultural products into food. And if I just think to the extraordinary new generation of winemakers that Italy has today, we can understand well what I'm, let's say, underlining in terms of international investment. The third reason why it's important to invest in Italy is certainly linked to biodiversity. Italy remains today an extraordinary hotspot in the biodiversity of the planet. The quantity of living species in both fauna and flora has no rivals in the world, and in a moment in the history of our species in which biodiversity has become a fundamental characteristic, a guarantee of environmental quality and health. Italy represents a fundamental reference for future investments. Of course, all these three characteristics, first is place in the international geopolitics, second is widespread culture, and third, the extraordinary biodiversity Italy hosts, are now to be reinterpreted from the perspective of ecological transition. And in this perspective, I think we should follow how Italian cities are conducting an amazing campaign for urban forestation, for making Italian cities greener, to multiply the green and vegetal surfaces in the urban environment. exactly where the greatest quantity of carbon dioxide is produced, is today important to plant vegetal and forest surfaces that absorb an important part of the CO2. The challenge of urban forestation is only one of the pillars of the great challenge of the ecological transition that Italy is carrying out. The other pillars are certainly renewable energies and the possibility of drastically reducing energy consumption. And certainly, also in this case, we are talking about a challenge that affects all cities in the world and not just Italian ones. However, there is no doubt that the policy of urban deforestation and the multiplication of biodiversity within and around Italian cities are among the most advanced in Europe. And this is another reason why Italy can become an important point of observation for international investment. Thank you so much for your attention.
Well, the vision of architects like Stefano Boeri can truly contribute to the improvement of our quality of life. So thank you, Stefano, for sharing your vision with us today. And I believe that all our speakers, coming from different diverse backgrounds, were all able to show how Italy truly is a land of investments. And I hope that you enjoyed the presentation, that the message was really clear. And now I'm honored to give the floor to Eco-Canada Executive Director Corrado Paina for a few closing remarks on this inspirational 2022 edition of Ithaca. Corrado?
Thank you, Leonora. Thank you very much for what you've been doing. You mastered really with grace and expertise as usual the event.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. I have a question for all our guests, also because Dr. Lo Bascio homaged Cavafis, with a great poem, right? I wrote some notes. I hope your road is a long one, he writes in the poem, right? Keep Ithaca always in your mind. So today, I would like to know from the three of you, this Ithaca, which is, I guess, we can translate as the future, the road, the unknown, this task that all of you are undertaking. Where is it bringing you? Where do you want to go exactly?
Shall I break the ice?
Yes.
Okay. Well, we have a great collaboration already with Canada. We, for example, I mentioned protected agriculture. We actually had one of the most interesting partnerships with academia in Canada, in particular the University of Guelph, for developing protected agriculture system. There is an excellence in Canada which is really amazing in that field. I was interested to hear about the vertical farming as well by architect Boeri. So that is a field in which I believe we could have synergies. There's the challenges mentioned in the other presentation about the climate change. So that is really something that for us it's quite important. We can contribute not only with like satellites for the Earth's observation and for providing, let's say, data for precision agriculture, like just water conservation, but also space is fairly amazing. We had a project of winding space, for example. We have developed together with a private customer. We have developed some specific canes which have been in space and now are showing increased resistance to mildew, for example. So I mean, I think there's just so much innovation that you can have in space, and there's so much innovation that can be done together with everybody, and with Canada in particular.
Thank you. Who wants to break the ice again now?
Actually, I can keep on breaking the ice. Where do we want to go? we want to go another 26 generations ahead, doing our job, taking care of our land, improving the overall quality of what we do, and possibly show also to other people in the wine and to our customers how important the connection with the land and producing quality is. And then also to keep on traveling, returning to Ithaca to bring our bottle of wine around the world to explain what there is and what Italy is and what the thought behind this wonderful product that is part of our culture. And all of this possibly leaving our land better than what we received it. And this means every small little tassel across the circle of production can be added and has to be thought.
Thank you. Professor Beretta.
Well, as also mentioned, science is by nature an international affair. We thrive and only thrive on the basis of collaboration with other countries, with other colleagues, and really we look at no borders. We just need to leverage each other's expertise. So our group, like all others, have several collaborations with researchers in Canada, in different universities. We wouldn't be able to work without such a network. So we only hope to make it expand it and to leverage it even more. But it is definitely something that is more and more and more needed. It used to be that, you know, a lab could work on its own and just kind of read somebody else's paper. That is no longer the case. There is no project that does not involve other laboratories across international borders, and definitely with the excellent neuroscience research being done in several laboratories and universities in Canada.
I want to thank all of you and obviously Boeri, Stefano Boeri, because you really give us an idea of Italy's today, but also the Italy of the future. When we say a land to invest, we might fall into the rhetoric of say, come to Italy, it's a land to invest. But we know that there is a lot to invest today. And Professor Lo Bascio, brought us to the space as beyond. And Boeri talked about the space as nature and location. And the wine, I saw some beautiful paintings behind you, Macchiaioli probably, because that's the area, and that's another incredible connection. And what can I say about the brain? I mean, I would love to have more brain just to understand what you were saying, because it's so beautiful, really, Professor Beretta. So I really want to thank all of you, because you really gave us an idea of the other Italy, the Italy that many people think to know, but they don't. And you really brought us a step ahead. Thank you very much. I'm sorry, I have to thank all the people now, all the guests. First of all, again, Eleonora Andretta for incredible work. Thank you, Eleonora. And allow me now, I'm going to read some names. Sistema Italia, first of all. What is Sistema Italia? It's a group that includes the Embassy of Italy to Canada, in the figure of the Ambassador Andrea Ferrari, the Consulate General of Italy in Toronto, Consul General Eugenius Gro, the Italian Trade Commission into Canada, Marco Saladini, then the director of the Italian Cultural Institute of Toronto, Veronica Manson. I want to mention also the Italian Tourist Government Board, and the board and the people of the Italian Chamber of Commerce of Ontario, Canada. And I want to thank the three organizers. Without them, this event would have not taken place. Thank you, Ilaria. Thank you, Mary. Thank you, Monica. Thank to all of you, and hope to see you soon again. Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thanks, everybody. Ciao.
Bye.